Everybody, Gunnison Undercover here. This is part 3 of many more parts to come regarding the Monmouth County prosecutors' Soviet Union style checkpoint. You know, it's all for your safety. You know, they got to get all those drunks off the road. You know, I was thinking about this, Matt. We've talked about this. You know, people say, well, you're hindering their investigation to get drunks off the road. Well, how many drunks are on the road at a given time, at a given area? I mean, that's pretty scary. If there's that many drunks on the road, I have a way to resolve the whole drunk driving problem. How do you think we could resolve that?
We put officers in patrol cars in saturated
Well, I
patrols.
thought maybe we just stop selling alcohol. Maybe we just do away with bars. See, the bulk of the people that are getting drunk are going to happy hour, going over to Basil Teas or, I don't know, Applebee's or something.
And I do want to say that there's not to condone or to say anything against the law, but there's a big difference. There's a heck of a difference between being drunk and technically drunk over the limit. Big difference.
This video here really is like we're just doing a little freestyle because him and I are always talking about stuff, and I always say, geez, we should have the camera on stuff. But yeah, you know, we watch these videos where, you know, you hear me and Matt saying, well, what do you think, John? You think he's going to get it? I go, nah, he looks pretty good. And Matt say, nah, he screws something up there, and then the guy gets arrested. And Matt has brought up an important point, is that they will test you till you fail. They make you put your feet together. Now, putting your feet together is in itself is a little uncomfortable for most people. I don't know about you, but when I stand still, I don't stand with my feet together. My feet are apart. And then they give you all kinds of directions and stuff that you got to do, and you're intimidated. You've got tunnel vision. It's all designed to make you fail. And as we know, these cops are all out there to get an arrest. Period. That is their main goal, is to get an arrest and to generate money. But here, you know, the deal, see, we're just freestyling here. The money thing. Yeah, it's out there to generate money, but when you figure out how much it costs to run that DWI checkpoint, they're not making any money. They're at a loss.
They're operating at a deficit.
They're operating at a deficit. This is nothing more than a big get-together for a bunch of blue zero hero turds trying to make a little extra money by eroding your Fourth Amendment right.
It's a weekly who's who in Monmouth County law enforcement.
Exactly. And now, as we found out, Matt Tim did an Oprah request, and he wanted to get the arrest record.
But before we go there, can I say one thing? You made a very salient point, sir, and I would be amiss if I didn't piggyback on it and kind of elaborate or add to what you said. You were talking about how I said they test you until you fail.
Yes.
Think about the conditions out there, folks, okay? John wasn't with me when I went Friday night. Was it Friday or was it Saturday?
It was Friday night, Shrewsbury's test point. I couldn't go because I had to work in the morning. I couldn't run the risk of getting arrested and not showing up for work.
They had a guy literally trying to perform the walking test when he literally had 3 feet of space between him and a car. He had a cop on each side of him about a foot away. I mean, there was no space for him to do it. He's in a rocky parking lot. It's late at night. The area wasn't well lit. I mean, think about it. I mean, a decent lawyer, a lawyer worth his or her salt, could rip apart these failed sobriety tests. This is all just BS piled on top of BS. And then to make matters worse, the brilliance or the not so brilliance of one Commandant Schneider of the DUI checkpoint had a Class 2 officer out there performing sobriety tests. I mean, God forbid one of these people, which I'm sure at least one does, has the money to challenge
Well, you got these officers out there. Half of them probably aren't even college graduates, a high school diploma, and they're out there trying to make a determination on your cognitive or your balance or, you know, medical determinations. Well, they go and they watch they sit in a class for a couple hours and watch a video. All of a sudden, these knuckleheads are experts. We know how smart the police are. We've seen a gazillion videos. We know how smart they aren't. I'm going on record and say, no, they're not very smart. What they are is big guys with guns, and
they're not all that big either.
Well, most of them are. That's a big guy job. Little guys tend not to get that job unless they know somebody. But these DWIs, it's just designed to entrap people, to get you to give up your rights. And it's just like Matt and I are out there. We shake our heads every time we watch these people get out of the cars, and they're just so afraid. And then you get the crap, the bootlickers out there, well, you know, if you didn't do anything, you have nothing to worry about. That's a bunch of crap, okay?
Bullshit.
And because you don't know what they're going to do to you. These cops lie. They lie. We know they're all professional liars. They've been taught to lie, been taught to embellish.
Just in casual conversation, John, how many times has Chief Schneider and his underling lied to us?
Oh, he has lied to us.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Numerous
5.
times. We said to him, you know, these checkpoints are about motor vehicle enforcement too. You go, oh, no.
Oh, we don't issue tickets for every little thing.
He said, and I said,
bullshit.
what about the plate? Well, we don't use that plate reader. We don't use plate reader. And what pulls up? A plate reader, all right? And then the last video, one of the last videos I was on Homedale Police, later on, and when we went to review the live stream of Schneider and Deputy Potty Mouth
Deputy
there.
Dumpy.
Yeah, Dumpy there. Miss Big Ass there, Widelow, whatever.
I wonder
her
if she
name
has to
is.
chase somebody if she can roll like a bull.
I don't know, but how did she pass the physical test is beyond me, okay? But, you know, I was looking at the video, and the officer was not there until later on. They had a dog there. Now, whether that dog was a drug dog, a gun dog, I don't know. But that dog is not there to do tricks for people. That dog is there to give a false signal to give the officer probable cause to go into your car.
We're there to circumvent or at least
It's all
expedite search
about
warrants.
it. You people, I can't stress this enough. This whole thing, this DWI checkpoint, Soviet Union, communist checkpoint, Nazi checkpoint is designed to jam you up and to arrest people.
Every time I see it, it's like we're crossing the border from West Germany into East Germany.
Right.
That's what it's like.
Exactly what it is. And you sheeples out there, you sit there, you know, I watch the lines and we go up when you ask some of the people and they say, well, what are you going to do?
I want to have a shout out right now to my dad. And me and my dad, we have a back and forth about this. Half of him thinks that it's BS what we're doing, and the other half of him agrees that this is part of a larger scheme of the gradual erosion of our civil liberties.
It is a gradual erosion of our Fourth Amendment.
That's right.
And again, I said, you know, the Supreme Court has ruled that in the interest of public safety that they can do these DWIs, but there's policies in effect to minimize the intrusion on us. And one of the things that we've seen there, Matt, is that they pull every car in, not every fifth car, not every third car.
And these aren't momentary stops, like the Supreme Court has said, where somebody's rolling down their window, they're shining a light. Okay, you guys are good to go. These are extended detentions.
Investigatory
detainments. Investigatory detainments.
Right.
These are extended investigatory detainments of American citizens without reasonable suspicion to keep them there. It is patently a Fourth Amendment violation in every sense, and then they couple and they build onto that with the demand that individuals produce documents. And I'll tell you what, if you're driving a car and you're pulled over by a cop and you don't hand him or her your documents, that's obstruction. Don't get me wrong. But I question the legality or whether or not they have the force of law to require me to produce my documents when I have been randomly pulled over into a primary stop on a DUI checkpoint and they cannot enunciate a reason as to why I've been pulled over.
What about now on a DW law, then when you get your license and everything, it's that you are
39-93, yeah, something like that.
Whatever it was.
Produce documents.
That you are to produce documents upon an officer's request.
That's not, the statute, it does not say that. Like you said, you must exhibit them. That's the first thing. And it says upon, it does say that, but it's been interpreted to deal with motor vehicle stops. What we're seeing now, motor vehicle stop, is when an officer has an ostensible or at least an articulable reason for stopping.
Your windshield's cracked.
Exactly.
Or your wheels wobbling or something.
Exactly. Think of it like this, John. Think of it like they have the 4th of July here every day. Every year they have the 4th of July festivities here. Okay. Well, what happens, it would be like every car's driving in here, the cop's going to ask you for your papers. You can't do that. You need an articulable reason. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Neither one of us have the money, the time, or the energy. But the first person that says, you know what? I know my rights. I'm going to stand on my rights. I'm not giving you my papers. Arrest me for obstruction.
I'm going to put it up to the window. I'm going to exhibit. Because the law says exhibit. Now, that's a big word. What does exhibit mean? Now, you brought up an interesting point, how they are pulling people onto private property.
That's right.
And they are arresting and issuing tickets. You said there was a little bit of a legal issue with that.
Oh, yes. Yes. Now what they are doing is they're commandeering private property where they have not been given the permission or the consent of the owner to use that property. According to the Monmouth County prosecutors, Oprah response that they gave to me, no written consent has been provided by any property owner that owns a property being used by the Monmouth County DUI Task Force. Well, so now here you have it. In thinking about the dynamics of how these checkpoints occur, you have 2 to 3 different officers involved in different positions. You have the primary officer, who's the one seeing the person, whether or not to be sent to secondary. Then you have the officer in secondary, who's observing the person, deciding whether or not they're going to detain them for further evaluation for drunk driving. All right, let's say now they're going to charge me for drunk driving. Okay, and guess what? You're not charging some kid from Edentown that doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together for a lawyer, okay? I go out, I hire a lawyer for $6,000 or $7,000, and I say, you know what, Schneider? There's your plea deal, Schneider, right there. Up yours. Try the case. We'll take it to trial. They take the case to trial. So now the officer who observed me driving on the road, or while my car was on the road, has to testify to be able to maintain authenticity and authenticate the evidence, as well as to lay a foundation. The officer from primary and secondary has to testify, so now you have 2 officers, and now the officer whose name is going to be on a report, which is going to have to be an officer from that town or that jurisdiction. So basically, each one of these DUI checkpoints are designed so that no conviction can be obtained. They're designed praying that people of working class and lower means take a plea deal.
Right.
Because if you have somebody, and we saw that one lady.
Well, let's say if you don't take the plea deal, this could happen to you, and the person's got one of these public defenders who just walks you down the plank.
That's right. With your eyes blindfolded.
With your eyes blindfolded, your hands behind your back.
That's right, but you hire not even a great lawyer. You hire a decent lawyer, and they have to try and get one of these DUI convictions from what we're seeing going out on there. Good luck. That's all I can say. Good luck. You're going to try and bring in 3 to 4 officers who probably work for different agencies.
Yep, county and the different towns, and because it's a free for all. You get 1 or 2 from the town they're in, and then you get one from another town. You got a couple deputies, and you don't know what's going on.
That's right. That's
now,
right.
there's another issue that's come up that we have touched upon. We found through an Oprah request is they go and they arrest you. They test you till you fail. They arrest you. We've got the video. You've seen it. And then they're towing your car. But in the meanwhile, they're taking you back to headquarters.
That's right.
And guess what? You blow under the legal limit.
Oops.
Oops. Now your car's been impounded.
Who's going to pay that bill?
Who's paying that bill? Schneider? Are you paying it? Probably not. So some poor kid out there gets jammed up and gets his car towed. Now that reminds me, there was that kid with the red car over at Homedale where they got him out of the car. Next thing you know, they're in there searching his car. They're looking in his wallet. I don't know what kind of evidence they were going to find in the man's wallet, but they're in his wallet, looking around there. And then they get done. After they get done searching his car, they go over and they search him. They don't do a pat down. There's a difference between a pat and a search. A pat is on the outside.
And a pat is to try and
search is when you go in your pocket and grab your package. Okay.
That's right. There's a major Fourth Amendment distinction between a pat down and a search.
So they start searching this kid down, and then they go and they do the field sobriety test. I'm like, well, wait a second. Why did you search my car? What evidence do you have to search my car? Because making me do a field sobriety implies that I'm impaired or something.
That's right.
I would have said you would have done do the field sobriety test first, then start doing all the nonsense after I've been arrested. But so you're watching them, so I have to ask myself, well, why did they search the car? Did this knucklehead give them the permission? People, you can't give permission. You can't. You have to exercise your rights.
The smartest way, from start to finish, and I'm sure at some point, not in the near future, but in the distant future, we'll make a video solely dedicated to that. But the smartest way to handle these checkpoints from start to finish goes like this. Roll down your window, you hand the credentials to the officer. I have no further questions to ask from that. He directs you over to secondary, they actually step out of the car. Okay, I'm not going to instruct you.
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
That's right. And then they say, we're telling you to step out, I'm stepping out. Okay, we're going to actually perform a couple tests. No. Here it is. Cuff me, breathalyze me. That's it.
Right.
That's it, because you know what? Like John said, and he hit the nail on the head, don't give them any more evidence that they're going to use to hang you with, okay? If they're going to want you to perform field sobriety tests, they're going to want you to answer questions, you do the bare basic that the law requires you to do. This is not legal advice. This is simply us stating what we believe and our opinions.
One homie to another homie.
Me and my good buddy.
Exercising our First Amendment right to express ourselves and our views. Now, if you want to go to a checkpoint and give up all your rights and get hung,
that's right,
out to dry, we'll be more than happy to video record it and do.
I do want to say a message, not to interrupt, to Commandant Schneider. He says to us, "I'm doing the right thing, buddy. You're doing the wrong thing." No. You're not doing the right thing, Chief. You're not doing the wrong thing. You're doing nothing except guzzling up taxpayers' dollars for these fishing expeditions that eroded our Fourth Amendment rights. And you know what else they do too, John? They denigrate the public's confidence in the integrity of law enforcement.
Right.
I mean, think about it. You have honest, working people, which we've seen in how
most of those people they were stopping were getting off of work.
Sorry. Out there trying to make a living, not out there looking to wreak havoc. And you know, what it's doing is it's basically
it's the government intruding on us. We're turning into a police state. Is that kind of state you want to live in? You want to live in where you go down the road and they're going to stop you? I mean, what's next, people? You go to Monmouth Mall and you have to go through a metal detector and get patted down, and they're going to scan your eyes and run your ID to make sure you're not a terrorist going into the mall, because this is what they do. They prey on your fear.
And then somewhere down the line, in the next 5-10 years at this rate, you can have random inspections in the middle of the night by the law enforcement,
yeah, they're going to show up at your house with a dog, and the dog when you open the door, dog starts wagging his tail. Well, Mrs. Smith, you got to let us in because the dog gave us a positive reading.
Right.
It's the same thing, people.
This is where we're heading.
This is where we are heading, okay? First, today it's your car. Tomorrow's going to be you when you go to the mall trying to shop with your family. And then it's going to be a house, because we are losing our rights every day under the guise of fear.
And forget
it's for
about
public safety. It's for your best. Yeah, screw you. I don't want the government in my business. I want the government out of my business. And I'm going to finish the video with this to the cops. If I need you, I'll call you. Otherwise, get the hell out of here. We don't need you.
Go find something to do with your time.
Right. It's Gunnison Undercover.
Matt Tim.